Hi, welcome to my channel, So Curious. I'm so glad that you came and visited today. Go get yourself something to drink, sit back and relax. Today, we're going to talk about what do you bring at some of these events that you go to. And since it's summertime, and that's what we're going to concentrate on, it because summer's right around the corner, we're going to have pool parties to go to, beach parties, family gatherings, family reunions, picnics, barbecues, all kinds of fun things that are going to happen in the summer. So, what do you bring to them? Now, we could always go with the usual food, and they're always welcome. So, don't ever feel when I say usual that's you should change it up because when you bring chips and things like that, crackers and um, cheeses, they're always welcome, always. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to kind of run through all the food items because a lot of that's so familiar and it is something that we like in the summertime. We expect to see and people a lot of times bring. So, the one weird thing that I did find, because I actually looked all this up to try and find some unique ideas, something that I wouldn't think of necessarily, or maybe other people wouldn't think of. What do you bring if you're at, say, like a barbecue, even a poolside picnics? One idea that I thought was great food wise that I didn't think about before, maybe you have, but I didn't, is like pickles. Bread and butter chips and dill pickles seem to be the top favorite. So that's something I would go for. Now, what I want to kind of caution you on, give you a little tip on, is if you bring pickles, that's great. But remember that they're in glass containers. So glass isn't always going to be good if you are at picnics or you're at the beach, or you can't even have glass on the beach. So go to Dollar Tree or Smart and Final, some of them there where you can get some containers that have lids, and those lids will protect the food inside, of course. So go ahead and put your pickles in there and then take your pickles to the party in these containers, and then they can just go right on the table. I thought that was a great idea. Um, the usuals could be like the fruit platters, the veggie platters, an ambrosia fruit salad, a coleslaw, deviled eggs, macaroni salad, jello salad, charcuterie. A lot of people bring that with the meat, cheese, and crackers on it. And that's always good to have. And you can bring it on a board already and wrapped up, or you could see maybe your host has it, a board you could use, or you can just put it on a platter when you get there, or your own platter at home and to bring. Again, make sure things aren't glass. And you can also bring one or two bags of chips or a box or two of crackers, dips. A lot of people make these delicious dips for fruits and delicious dips for vegetables or chips. So those are the type of things that you can bring food wise. If you want to bring cookies or cupcakes or a cake or a pie, even, just keep in mind when you bring things like that there's a lot of people that are gluten free out there now, and I know that we have that situation in the family and friends that we're around where we make cookies, we make half of them regular, like you normally do, and then the other half we make gluten free. And we do that so that it also makes them not feel uncomfortable and they can have dessert with us. So we just put them on a different thing or put a little sign up and say these are GF, gluten free. And that way, if they have any problems with gluten, they won't have any. They can go ahead and eat something at a party that's gluten free and keep that in mind for them. It's always a nice thing. But I was looking more at what happens if you don't want to bring food. I mean, you might not want to bring food. So what do you bring instead of that? And I have 11 items of Great ideas. They're fantastic ideas. Some of them are better than others, but I like them. You can always bring any of this stuff will help who's ever hosting your party. It will help them, and it also in some cases will help other people there. And when you go to a party, the one thing that makes you feel comfortable from the moment you walk in is if you're bringing something. Say you bring a bottle of wine and you get to the party, you can open that bottle of wine and immediately look at who's ever in the room at that time and say, hey, does anybody want some of this, and you can pour them some. It makes you feel comfortable right away. It relaxes you, it relaxes the host, and it relaxes the people that are there. So that's one of the hidden things I think it is about bringing something to somebody's house. It just, you have something to do when you walk in. So these non-food items, a lot of them have that same kind of premise to them. So like the first one is if you bring plastic cups and a permanent marker. I mean, your host may already have plastic cups, but you go through them and sometimes you're changing up what you're drinking. You're drinking water now and you're drinking a juice later or whatever. You can go through a lot of cups. So if you bring some cups with you, some plastic cups and a permanent marker so that people can write their name on if they choose to, that's a great idea. The other thing would be a bag of ice. Just the coolers are always starting to melt. It's always nice to have extra ice. You might have need ice-free drinks because the freezer only holds so much. And I know everywhere I go, the freezer ice is always empty by the time everything gets really going. So bring a bag of ice with you. That's a great idea. You also can bring two boxes or a box of 10 gallon garbage bags or 13-gallon garbage bags, and let the host know that you brought it, and then take it out and open the box and take a couple of the bags out and put them around. Say if there's an area that's set up for the beer drinkers, you kind of always can tell they're going to go in a certain spot or maybe not. But anyway, they can have a bag there to throw their beer cans in, or seltzers, they can throw their cans in. And then at the end of the night, if the host happens to be a recycler, they can have that bag, and or somebody else at the party might be, and they would want that bag. So it's separate. And then you put another bag, of course, over by the food where people will know this is where you drop your paper plates, your food that you didn't eat, all that stuff. And it's already set up in locations so that people are aware where to throw their things. That's a help, and that's a help to the hostess and you and recycling all in one shot. Uh, you can always bring a bottle of wine. A bottle of wine that's what I bring. I like to bring a bottle of wine. You can always bring that, but you have to remember too, in some cases, that's glass. So now if you're going to the beach, obviously you cannot bring glass on the beach. So a box of wine will work. If that's what you want, bring a box of wine. And they actually make the plastic bottle type containers to hold wine now. And you can just buy a couple of those and bring those to the party. Very much appreciated, because again, you don't want the glass to break and somebody get hurt. That just would put a damper on things. So you don't want that. Let's see what else I have. An extra 6-pack of beer. So you bring your own beer. Most parties that we go to or I go to, and I don't know if they're all like this, but it's BYOB. It's bring your own booze. So you can bring your beer if that's what you drink, and then stop and buy an extra 6-pack. And then give it to the host and just say, if somebody runs out, or if somebody comes that didn't, have anything with them, here's some extras. Do that also with a case of seltzers, so that on the seltzers, um, they also will get used up. People run out of those, it seems, very quickly at parties, and that's less responsibility for the host and the hostesses to make sure that they always have this extra drinks on hand, in case things like that happen, because people do come from work, or they just thought they were going to drop in for a second, and maybe that's all they do, and they have a beer and they leave, or they hang around. You never know. So then you can also think of buying juice boxes to bring for if you have kids and it's a party with kids. You can bring that for them. And if you bring an extra one, then the other kids have one too. They have a choice. So also think of bringing a case of mini water. Mini waters are great because if you have the bigger bottles, 9 times out of 10, you see them around all over, half drink. They drink half of it, and then they leave it and they forget which one's there. So nobody ever picks them up again. So just bring the mini ones. And again, this is great for kids or adults that don't drink, or you want some water in between and you just want a water. I mean, it's always nice to have, and again, it'll help the host and the hostess, even if they have already bought water. It helps them out. You can buy mini cans of soda. And now that could be, Coke or Pepsi, 7 Up or Sprite, Dr. Pepper, whatever it is that you would like to bring that, because that again can be used for people who don't drink and they just want to, fill up a glass with ice and have the soda. And it's also good for mixers. So keep that stuff in mind. I mean, I think that's a great idea myself. A box of those 12 to 24 variety packs that Frito-Lay makes. So you have a box with all the different individually wrapped chips, or individually wrapped cookies, or Doritos, or they make a bunch of different ones now, even snacks. Those are good to have, again, if there's kids, or if somebody doesn't want to just go get a paper plate and put some chips and stuff on there, they can grab a bag. It's also a good idea to keep keep a bowl of them, over by where the people who are drinking sit, because that way maybe they'll snack on something while they're drinking, which always helps. So just put them around somewhere. If people want to go up and get chips because they want to put dip and all that on there, that's great. The other thing that you can bring is a case of, let's see, I said that one already, is paper plates. Bring some paper plates, napkins, or plastic silverware. Bring some extra of that. Pick one or take all three. It might even be best to pick the smaller paper plates, because I noticed at an event that I was just at not too long ago, we had paper plates for all the food, and we didn't use them up, but we used a lot of them. And then some people came and they brought a bunch of desserts, and so we had to get more paper plates out for all the desserts. So maybe if you get some smaller ones for someone to put these cookies on, or cupcakes if somebody's bringing that, or just other types of desserts that they might want to put on a paper plate, get some smaller ones. Bring those. A little thing of, like I said, extra napkins. But plastic silverware, again, that gets used up really fast when you're at picnics or parties at your house or family gatherings. Plastic silverware goes quick, and it's great that your host might have all this stuff, but it doesn't hurt to help them out with that. Um, Now, one of the unique ideas, if you go to some of these parties where and especially family gatherings are like this, where they don't want to keep all that food in their house anymore. They want you to take some when you go. They're all, and you do have to wait until the host says, if anybody wants to take this home, don't assume. I've seen people do that at parties. So don't just assume that it's okay to take something home unless you've asked. But when they announce something like that, if you would bring with you a couple boxes of quart size Ziploc bags, or some gallon size Ziploc bags, maybe even go to Smart and Final and get some of those containers with lids that are more or less disposable type containers. Get something like that and bring that, and you can always let your host know that this is why you brought it. And they may say, oh, well, I don't think there's going to be any food that's going to be left. Then tell them, keep it and put it away for the next time then. Or they may just be saying, oh my God, that's fantastic, because again, I have seen people will go into the hostess drawers, and they pull out all the Ziploc bags and baggies, and they just start filling things up, and it leaves the host with nothing. So if you stop and think about something like that, how nice it would be for someone to start bringing those kind of things to your picnics and your parties. So those are some ideas. I mean, the whole point is just have a good time. Make sure that you yourself are smiling. Smile the whole time you're there. Have a good time. Don't take anything too seriously. Life is too short for that. Just enjoy yourself and enjoy today. Enjoy your morning, your evening, your afternoon, whichever time it is that you're watching this. But I hope that I gave you some good tips on what you can bring this summer when you go to some of these events that are going to start taking up your calendar anytime now. So thank you for watching. I enjoyed having you here. If you like this channel, make sure you subscribe or hit the like button, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you. Bye.